So let's talk about the Cisco switches since we are in a switching module. So we will be stick with the switches only. We will not talk about the routers. So this is how the switch look like. It has these ports, could be fast Ethernet ports or could be giga fast or gigabit Ethernet ports. Then we have these kind of ports, these basically used for the uplink ports as well. And what uplink ports are, the same concept of a trunk. If we have another switch here, either you can use this port to connect with this port and make it a trunk, it will work fine. Or you can use these dedicated ports as well. And these are known as the uplink ports. And then we have these ports, as we have already gone through this in previous modules, that these are SFP enabled ports used for fiber optics. You can use these modules for RJ45 as well and fiber. So you can plug that, plug and play kind of device and just slide it in and it will work. So these are for the plug and play. It could be fiber, it could be RJ45. Then switches are usually available with 5 ports, 8 ports, 10 ports, 16 ports, 24 ports, 28, 48, and 52 ports. So this one currently is having 48 ports. As I said, this could be normal fast Ethernet ports. It could be gigabit Ethernet ports. And these could be PoE enabled ports as well, power over Ethernet enabled ports, which I'm going to discuss in the last slide, and you will know what PoE is. So this is the front of your switch. Then we have this LED status here, and I will show you what is it. And this is the back of your switch. Oh, sorry. Danish, can you hear?
Yes, we can hear.
Can you hear the azan as well, or?
Okay. No.
Okay, that's fine. So this is the back of the switch, and as you can see, we have one port here, and it is clearly written. This is the console port, and we know what console port is. Crystal, can you tell me, please?
We use that port to connect the PC to the switch.
Okay, what for?
The console port or the rollover port.
Okay, so what is the purpose?
Is to be able to configure the router, the switch, the switch.
Okay, yes, to configure the switch for the first time.
Okay, so we cannot configure for configuring the switch remotely, you must already have an IP, and for having an IP you must configure for the
yes, you are right. And let me tell you one thing, console port you cannot access remotely, by the way. I mean, I'm talking about from outside internet. You have some organization, and within organization this console port is connected. From outside you cannot access it.
This is a good point, Kamran, we should discuss. When a lot of people, when they're new, they may be looking at this right now and they'll think, okay, how do you usually in a business environment even get a switch, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of we are kind of left with this thinking that where do we get these switches from? So would you like to talk about some of these, like how Cisco works and that, like, when we do these contracts, people before us, like when we get in as a junior network engineers, I'm sure there are some engineers or senior level engineers that do the designing. They would have to order everything from Cisco or some kind of partner, right? And then they will send them these switches and everything. And then we'll talk about, let's say somebody bring these switches. So there's two ways that I have seen in my experience. Either if it's a partner, they will configure the switch and they will send it to one of the companies that they are managing or maintaining, or they're kind of like the service provider for this company.
Okay.
So what they do is they will send a configured switch to the IT professionals on the site, and they will just say, okay, guys, I want you to connect the switch for me to some kind of, like, just connect it to your internet that you have right now.
Yeah.
And then the first thing they would do is I want you to console connect it first. So that way, a technician have basically a PC or a laptop. They have internet, they will connect it to the console cable. And now the other technician who is actually an engineer was going to be zooming in or using some kind of WebEx or whatever. And then they will see, I will take over that switch and they will configure everything. So a lot of people ask me this question, can we work as a network engineer remotely? That's how they are working right now. A lot of these engineers are actually working remotely for a lot of companies. Yeah. Now, if you were to be a network engineer for a company, on-premises engineer, then yes, you would be just directly just on the desk. You'll bring that switch, you got it, you unpacked it, you turned it on, and then boom, you just start working on it directly from just like, there's no WebEx or anything because you're the person who's directly doing it. Have you seen anything else, Kamran, in this case?
Usually they call these terminals known as access terminals. Okay. It comes with this, the port is the cable that known as the octal cable. Have you heard about Danish, octal cable?
No, not in my career, no.
Yeah. So actually, and maybe I will show you that in the future. So basically, this one, they buy one dedicated device known as access. You can call it access server. Basically, this dedicated device, which has kind of serial port at the back, and then it has multiple RJ45 connectors. Okay, and those will be connected to the consoles of your every switch. And then this access server has some kind of internet connectivity from the ISP. So you can access, and then you can access these all switches one by one.
Got it. So it's like the same concept of a KVM, basically.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Same like
so
KVM.
Some companies are a little more managed. So I think maybe we should just say that it's more of a management. So some companies are a little more well managed, that they would have something like that set up. So a brand new switch will come in and someone will plug that into that. And then, because of that system, they can get into it. So that's another thing. Yeah. If you got hired in the company and they have something like that, and you're like, oh, I heard, or I learned by just consoling in from a laptop like that. Now you see this brand new thing. It's just a system for management. I would say that, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
This is a single management source from where they can access these all devices.
So Crystal, is it making any sense to you right now? I know I went a little bit back from just a product overview to a little bit of real world, how we manage things. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have these line ports, VTY lines, we call it, and we can access, through internet as well using these VTY line ports.
And that's after configuration.
Yes.
Okay.
But the main, the point is how you're going to configure when this device will come out from the box. This is the thing, console. You will connect laptop, and then you will do the initial provisioning on this device. let's suppose you will configure line VTYs, and then you can access using the internet from your home or from anywhere. So currently it is showing one which is known as the power. You will plug your cable here and it will turn on. But if you will see these things, like we have another, this port here. So this is known as RPC, redundant power supplies. So this is only single power supply, but we could have multiple power supplies as well. That is known as redundant power supplies. So this is for the purpose of redundancy. Let's suppose we have one AC adapter here, and this device is currently working, giving the power supply to this one. And then we have this redundant power supply as well. Maybe it is connected with the UPS. So in case of power outage for this port, this will be up. So this is how we're going to get the redundancy as well. So it will be up and running all the time. LED status I was discussing here. If you just zoom in, this is the thing you're going to get. And these things are very informative. Means instead of going into this switch and just by looking the configuration, you just can take a look of these things and you will know what is happening in your switch. Every port will have, as you can see, the LED, which will show some kind of status as well. So let's discuss about these things first. What are these? It is mentioning this is system, SYST system. So the system LED, just nothing. When you will power on these all systems, LEDs will be on. Then we have next RPS, which has to do with the redundant power supplies. As I was talking earlier, if we have these two things here, then this LED, if you press mode, the second time it will come here and it will show what the RPS status is currently. If you have two redundant power supplies, this will be green. So just by pressing this mode, you can go to this stat, then go to flag speed and POE. You just can quickly understand what is going on in my switching environment or on this switches, by the way. So the third thing is stat, which is by default, as it is written, the port status LED. This is the default mode, which you can see these are the things. These. Just like in your network interface card on your computer, if you take a look of network interface card, it has two LEDs and they will be blinking all the time. If these are red, it means there is kind of issue. If it is amber, it is mean it is going through some kind of the communication, the process. It's basically going through some process. And if it is green, it means it is up and running and our communication is happening. So as you can see, the next one is duplex, the port duplex mode. So it has to do with, let's say, half duplex or full duplex or half duplex. Half duplex when we are talking about 10 Mbps Ethernet, and full duplex is when we are talking about 100 Mbps. And just by pressing this mode, you can see what mode your your cables are in, whether these are in 10 Mbps mode or 100 Mbps mode. And we have talked about the difference between these two. already. So just by pressing this mode, you can quickly see the status of this switch. Then we have port speed, which is 100 or 10. Then we have PoE, power over Ethernet, which is this one.
And Kamran, what if some people may be thinking about the latest one, which is like the gigs one? How does that work?
The gig one will be showing the duplex green. It will be green, and your speed will also be green.
Okay.
This will work for both 100 Mbps and gig. But if it is amber, if the color of this LED is amber, it means this is negotiating in 10 Mbps. So this is how, Danish, you can differentiate between these, very quickly. If the duplex and speed port is amber, it means we are talking about 10 Mbps and half duplex. And if the speed and duplex is like green, it means we are talking about 100 Mbps and beyond 100.
Got it.
Okay. So this is the basic idea behind this LED. So you can just very quickly take a look of what is happening in your switching environment. And
I will add something in there. And then, mostly when you're working with this type of, switches are different models. So it comes with different type of, like one is like, one version or another one. So it's the best thing you can do is to go to the Cisco documentation, pull up the document for the same model of that switch, because it could be a little different, from model to model, but usually it's everything the same. It's just that maybe it has something more or a different type of setup for resets or things like that. That's what I have come across in my own experience.
Yes.
So the best thing you can do is to go back to the documentation. You can't just, just do the simple standard thing. You have to go to documentation and just first see what this model is telling me to do with these icons and these different type of, settings over here.
Yeah. So as you can see, we do not have any kind of, the button to switch on or switch off this Cisco switch. So most of the switches, they don't come with this button. So in case if you want to restart this switch, you just need to unplug or just go to the AC power and just switch on, switch off. This is how you're going to reboot.
This could be a very basic interview question, by the way, to just see, do you even know this or not? Because they really can pick you on this one.
Yeah, I do remember, Danish, when I joined the company, I was looking for the button from where switch on.
Yeah, you're not alone. We all did that.
Exactly.
I spent some time myself when I was working with like another network engineers, and somebody said just restart the switch, and I was like new to IT, and I'm like looking for buttons left and right, and I'm like, why the hell there's no button in here? I don't see it, And then of course the message like, yeah, you just need to unplug it.
That's great. So we discussed this thing here as well, so it will be clear cut for you.
We got a question from Haifa. She said, wouldn't turning it off like that cause possible damage?
No, it will not make any kind of damage.
Yeah, so basically that is how it's designed, Haifa, that you switch it off, wait for a few seconds, and then plug it back in there, and it just do the whole process. And he's gonna explain this, how the whole boot process, everything work. And another thing about these buttons is that yes, you can actually use, maybe Kamran can correct me, you can actually use this to reset it back to the factory default as well, right?
Yes. Some switches you will find some kind of like the hole, some kind of, so you just keep pressing. Usually, the PoE switches, they have this capability. Just keep pressing that hole for like 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then just release it, and this router or switch will be reset afterwards.
And again, you go back to documentation for that specific switch, because that's how it works.
Exactly. So newer switches are coming with that concept, with that, that kind of hole you can press and just erase whatever the configuration was on that switch. So here, this is also very important when it comes to the troubleshooting. Let's suppose this is a switch and it is not connected with any device. Okay, why I'm saying, when you will connect, for let's suppose PC1 here, or any server or whatever router, or you will see the activities on this, on top of that LED, just like this. But these things, what I'm talking about here, has nothing to do with these activities. It has to do when you will just take this device out of the box and just plug in the switch and turn it on. Then you have to go through these link activities without connecting anything. Why? Because this is very important. Sometimes somebody ship you like damaged switch, and you can just notice just by looking at these activity links, which I'm going to explain here. So off, what is off? It's power off. The green means system is operating normally. If these all switches, like I am showing here, if these all activity links are green, it means it is operating normally and this switch has no any kind of issues. If it is blinking green, it means system is loading the software, which means maybe it is going through power on self-test. It is going through, it is just extracting iOS image, or the software or the images are being loaded. So if the LEDs are blinking green, so this is the clear indication.
Now again, in this point, I want to remind people that he's talking about that it's not connected, right, Kamran? Because
exactly,
once you connect it, that blinking green can become then a data going through. So make sure you guys remember that.
Yeah, blinking green, if some PC is connected, it means some activity is going on, like you are pinging or some DHCP request going on, something like that.
But at this point, there's nothing connected, right, Kamran?
Yes.
Okay.
And then amber, if we get the amber, system is receiving power but is not functioning properly. So if the color is amber, it means it is connected, the power is there, but there's some kind of functionality problem. Maybe the software is corrupt, the iOS is corrupt, or any kind of software malfunction is happening or going on. It means the color is amber. And what if it is, the color is amber but it is blinking? So these things we have to take into account. It could be the issue with the power supply. It could be the issue with the network modules that we have connected these things. And then this could be the problem with the fan, because just like in our computers, it also have kind of fan inside somewhere. So maybe that is not working. Okay, so this is very important, by the way, this section.